G'day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at ultra rare yellow super Vegito. So he's obviously the latest ultra rare character to come to DB Legends, and I thought it'd be a great excuse to try out my new video format where I'll basically go through the units, talk about what equipments I'm using on them, talk about what teams I'm running them on, and yeah, basically just do a couple PvP matches with them. I know it's very similar to other DB Legends content creators, but I thought let me give it my own try. And yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because I don't get every unit to 14 plus or whatever, so I thought maybe it'll be interesting to see what you can do. So the cool thing about the ultra rare characters is when they first come out, if you do manage to get them, you immediately get 2,000 Z power for them. So I actually only pulled Vegito twice in 9,000 stones. Very, very good summon, by the way. It's a video on my channel, but yeah, so let's take a look at how good he really is. So let's talk about him first. Pretty decent stats overall. Very nice stat spread, I think, and very solid, in terms of stats. Obviously, health is pretty high. Strike attack is pretty decently high. The defense is also pretty up there, looking really solid. He's a defense type, but that doesn't mean he can't do damage. He can do quite a decent bit of damage. His main ability allows him to draw the ultimate arts card Spirit Divider, restores his own health by 20% and ki by 50%. It also applies the attribute downgrade of minus 50% to enemy sustained damage cut effects to self for 20 time accounts, so it's basically a big buff to his reduction in damage. Restores own vanish engage by 100%, which I think is very good. It's always nice when main abilities restore vanish engage, give you that double vanish. And then inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 25% to slice damage received, which is actually quite a big portion of his damage. Then we have his ultra ability. This is his ultra rare character ability. So if he's the leader, basically he has plus 30% to damage inflicted and plus 30% to damage recovery. If he's not the leader, he applies the following effects to himself if there are tag fusion warrior battle support members. So plus 5% to damage inflicted, so plus 5% to ki recovery. So if you are not running him as a lead, you can only get a max of 15% comparatively to the full 30% if you run him as a lead. But it's not a huge trade-off. Obviously running him as a lead would be ideal, but it's not a massive trade-off. Then we've got his unique abilities, so Ultimate Warrior of Hope. He has plus 110% to damage inflicted, cannot be cancelled, and a baseline 50% damage reduction. When he enters the battlefield, he has plus 20% to damage inflicted and reduces damage received by 20% for 15 time accounts. So at the start, he'll have 70% damage reduction, which is pretty nuts. And then he restores his own ki by 5 every time he uses a Strike or Blast Arts card, increases the art card draw speed by 1 level for 4 time accounts, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 15% to damage received. He also restores his own health by 30% only once when it reaches 0. Although this sounds great, it's not like a revive mechanic, so you are still in the combo, so it just basically extends your chance for the combo to run out. You can't actually, like, a revive mechanic will knock you out of the combo to revive the character, and so it breaks up their combo. So although these abilities that him and MUI have are good, they're not the same as revival mechanics. It can be very easy to get confused. And then we have Stronger Together, which knocks back the enemy to long range if cover change is performed against their strike arts, or activates during assists as well. And then restores their own unique gauge by 10% every time an enemy uses a strike or blast arts card while they're on the battlefield. And then the following effects occur after the enemy attack is over. You restore your own health by 10%, restore your own unique gauge by 20%, and you shorten your ally's substitution account by 1. If you charge forward with a strike arts card, this is the important part. If your own unique gauge is at 30% or more, it consumes the entire unique gauge to counter tap shots or blast attacks, dealing impact damage to the enemy. So it's like a huge counter. Basically, if they fire a blast attack at you, and you click a strike attack, you will actually instantly counter them and be able to enter them into a combo. It can't kill them, so you do have to be a little bit aware of that, and you do recover the gauge while you're on standby. In terms of equipments, before we go through his final little bit of information, I'm running these 3 equips. Obviously, the unique equip that just came out is pretty solid for him. Gives him that ultimate damage, base strike damage, base blast damage. Because he's got a high amounts of damage reduction. Grabbing health is pretty solid for him. Key recovery is also pretty good because that can combo really nicely with his key on ability usage. But yeah, health is really good on this guy because he has a lot of different methods of damage reduction, which is pretty good. So you're going to want to try and focus on some health. Obviously, defense is good, and ultimate damage, because he can do some pretty good big ultimate damage, especially with that slice damage buff that he gains from his main ability. So you can do some really, really good ultimate damage. Plus, because of his support card or his special ability, so his special ability removing the different element factors for 5 timer counts, it's a pretty strong kind of combo to have. You don't need to worry too much about overexerting your damage because you already can remove unfavorable element type ups. So yeah, when your counter activates, you're going to gain 100% to strike arts damage, and you're also going to nullify cover change, basically. So pretty cool. You can use it. Generally, you want to use it to break up a combo instead of rather using it, like I said, it can't kill anyone. So you'd rather use it to break up a combo, stop a kind of attack from the enemy, and just kind of go from there. So obviously this is a UI Goku, so we need to try and wear out his little gauge there. You can see we wore it out. Didn't manage to time our intercept attack properly, but that's okay. Vegito is pretty cool. I've used him a couple times since this video as well, as I've been trying to grind some rank, trying to get to 70 before the double RP ends. But yeah, definitely is a really, really cool unit in terms of like just his overall abilities. He's really, really impressive. At least I find him impressive. I think he's got a really nice combo of like abilities to have. His card artifacts are really good. He increases his strike damage. He's very strike orientated, which is obviously super duper helpful. And if you see here, this is actually the perfect instance for Vegito. So this is where that whole revive mechanic's really good, because after a Rising Rush, you're going to die, to put it bluntly. So most times you'll die, or Vegito will manage to somehow tank it, which he does, and then we instantly get our health back. So we just activate the ability, bam. So we've survived the Rising Rush, and we've got our health back, which is pretty nuts. Obviously we're not doing an insane amount of damage here to this Goku, but we're doing some pretty decent damage. If we got our support card ability, 100% would have been able to do some crazy damage. But even then, we managed to take him from full. So that's pretty solid from my perspective, at least. If you look yellow on red damage. And I mean, this guy's team is not bad either. And we're still tanking, we're still doing well. Yeah, so I think this perfect example of where Vegito is very good is in that ability to like really soak up the damage and then kind of almost really heal it back. He gets the 10% after the enemy combo ends. He has the 30% when he obviously gets knocked to 0, and he also has his main ability, health recovery, as well. So he's got like a lot of good health recovery mechanics. Again, here we can just throw him in there and he's going to take it and tank it as well. So he's tanked a Rising Rush 2 supers now. So pretty good stuff. And I mean, even if he gets knocked to 0, we still have his revive. So some pretty good stuff in general just from Vegito. Really impressive. I'm not a good player, by the way, just full disclaimer. So before anyone wonders why I'm missing so many combos, it's because I'm bad. Just to put it bluntly. But yeah, he's really, really, really solid. And I think he's super duper tanky, and he actually brings a really, really good level of tankiness to the team. Like, I think he's not necessary for Fusion Warrior. Obviously, they had Maju, who I think was really, really solid as that kind of tanky support-based like fusion unit. But he's bringing like a lot here, if you know what I mean. Like he's bringing a lot of additional dynamic and additional ability, and the synergy is really great. So I personally find that he's a really good addition. I do think maybe they're teetering now on one of the top teams. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult, I would say, whenever you're dealing with a team that's got 2 ultras in it and could potentially be led by a third one. Yeah, it's always like, okay, are we not stacking this one team too much? But I think Super Vegito, although being an ultra, I think is a very well balanced unit. I don't actually see him as being OP in a sense, as he's very strong. He's definitely up there as one of the best units in the game, but I don't see him as being OP, which I think is a good sign. He doesn't feel like he's a level above anyone else. He feels like he's just in the top tier of units, which I think is good. That's how units should be. The tier should never push too far with every release. Units should just feel like they counter a play style within that top tier and push the bracket a little bit, because there's a gacha game at the end of the day, and that's why people summon. So, but yeah, I think he's actually really well done. Obviously, this first fight is pretty rough. In a sense, we fought someone with the exact same team makeup as us, which is always terrible for me, because then I have very little excuse to lose. This guy didn't even have like more boost or anything. I think his gear was very similar, so losing it's not great here for me. But hey, like what can you do? But yeah, it's definitely like, I think Super Vegito is far more reasonable as a unit, I think, than anything else. I personally find him to be great. I really think he's well balanced. The counter mechanic is good, but you have to be very selective when to use it. So although it's a gauge ability that's super duper interesting and useful, I think it's something that's also it's a skill based one. Like, whereas some abilities feel a little bit broken in a sense of like you don't have to think too much to use them or anything like that. I think with Super Vegitos, I think you have to think. Like, you can have bad execution and good execution of it. Just starting the battle and someone fires a key volley at you and you use the counter. Okay, great. You've now stopped them from switching and you've activated your increased strike damage. But you haven't broken a combo, you've started the battle off, they might have a revive mechanic on that character. There's a lot of things you have to factor in. And it can't kill either. So what also makes it interesting is you could waste it. Throw it against a purple enemy while they're already at 5% health, and it's a complete waste of time. So there is definitely a right and wrong way to use it. Or at least not a right and wrong way. A less skilled and a more skilled way to utilize that ability, which I think is very good. I think having gauge abilities like that is good. It's better than having passive gauge abilities, things like auto dodging and stuff like that, which is interesting. But at the same time, I think isn't, as fun or adds as much to the games, like as much as the games like could do. I think the game could definitely push these mechanics to be a lot more interesting, and a lot more valid and fun than one might think, personally speaking. So I would just have to say, like, I prefer these kind of gauge abilities, and I think that they add a lot more. That being said, Super Vegito still looks pretty solid. I do think the equipment I have is definitely the way to go. I think, in terms of other equipment, I think maybe there's one or two others you could substitute in if you feel like you're not too interested in the whole like current setup I've got. There's the Awaken Time to Send You to Hell equipment that gives you blast defense or strike defense, gives you base strike attack and gives you base critical, which you could definitely do if you are looking that way inclined. I do think health is the best way to go, just because I think it adds a lot to the game. Like, I think it really does help push you up, and I think that's obviously what you need, especially when he's got so much damage reduction. As you saw there, we tanked plenty of abilities with just his baseline damage reduction that he has. So I think, when you upgrade these equipments to give him that extra 2, 3, 4% of health that he can have, I think it matters a lot. He's going to be able to tank a lot more. We're finding a lot of the same team components now. You can see a lot of people are running the same team, which I always feel means I'm like a massive parasite, but it is what it is. I cannot change what I'm doing, you know what I mean? So I think, but I think overall, like, you can just kind of give it a go. If you've got him, try him out. He's great. If you don't have him, then it's key to just stick to mainly strike attacks to help counter him. He won't be able to use his gauge then. Don't tap blast attacks. Make sure that you use strike attacks where possible. And generally speaking, the only real thing that you do need to be aware of is obviously his nullification of cover change. That'll occur after counter. So if he's throwing his counter out against you, try not to stop his combo with a cover change. You're just going to end up getting yourself comboed into more damage. Rather just wait it out or let your revive block take it out. One nice thing is he doesn't have a cancel revive ability anyway, so he doesn't nullify anything like crazy. He does nullify restore own health when it reaches 0, but that's not a revive effect. So he does obviously prevent units like MUI Goku if he ulties them, but generally speaking, like, personally speaking, I think that's not really a big issue. If I'm like say it, like, it's a good ability to have, but it doesn't cancel revive mechanics. So although it's very, very solid, it's not going to end up making you able to counter revive teams. It's just going to stop units like MUI, which is something you should be aware of. And getting absolutely rinsed this fight, by the way. Just putting it out, full disclaimer. This guy is handing it to me. But that's okay, it happens. Sometimes also in PvP, just as a heads up, like, you can just have an off match. You like think everything's going your way. You think it's going to work out. It doesn't. Everything kind of goes not to plan, and you end up getting a bit slaughtered. Like, it's okay. A lot of people think, oh man, I'm really bad. Sometimes you just don't get the combos, you don't get the breaks that you need. You have a bad time. It's okay. It's not like a huge issue. Don't read too much into 1 or 2 bad performances. If you're consistently losing 4, 5, or 6 games in a row, and people's teams are on par with yours, like similar to here, where like I won that one with a lot of effort, I lost this one very easily. Like, if you're losing to people with almost the exact same team as you, but like 4 or 5 times in a row, then consider obviously looking at how well you're playing. But to take one bad loss every now and then, I mean, I'll go on a streak of like 3 or 4 wins, and then sometimes I'll get rubbished for like 2 games in a row. It just happens, man. You don't need to like, you don't need to beat yourself up about it. Like, you can handle it more than fine. Just don't panic. Like, it's okay. It's not a big issue. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? Don't panic. It's all good. So yeah, let's see if we can wrap up this video with a pretty decent win, or if we can get a nice win to wrap things up. Again, playing a very similar team. He just has the Ultra Goku instead of obviously Ultra Vegito. Getting a nice little start in here with the damage. Not a big issue. We've decided to bring in the Ultra Blue. Why not, basically. See how it goes. But yeah, Vegito doing some pretty good strike damage here. We're going to get knocked out of the combo here by good old MUI Goku. We'll switch in Vegito Blue and then dodge that. Wait for him, and then he's going to dodge us, which is fine. I haven't managed to Zenkai my Vegito Blue yet because I am almost at the point where I can get the last 100 Legends Limited power needed to take him to 7-star, and then I can finally Zenkai him. So that is obviously something that I desperately would need to do. It's going to improve my team a lot. It's also going to improve my ultra rare Gogeta. But also I'm interested to try out the Vegito Blue in Zenkai, and obviously give him a really good try. So that'll be something really cool that I'd really like to do, because he is a cool unit, generally speaking. Again, we're going to use Vegito, just let him soak up some of this damage. Again, he's really good at doing this. Soaks up the damage, instantly gains 10% back, throw out the type notification, and it was perfect because it hit the yellow unit. Wish he'd subbed in MUI, but it's okay. Not too concerned. Nice big chunky strike damage from Vegito. Very solid, which is great. He's going to switch in Goku again and get the combo breaker, which is fine. Again, not too concerned. Really not too concerned. I should have tapped him there, but that's okay. So yeah, just not too concerned in any way, shape or form. Get the health back on Vegito. He will tank this okay. Not too well, but he'll tank okay. With his Zenkai, it would have taken that much better. So also screwed up that, but that's okay. It's okay. Yeah, like I said, not the best player in the world, but we should still be fine. Vegito is very solid. Again, just gonna soak up this damage. These ultis don't do anything because we gain so much health back. Like whenever the ulti occurs, we gain so much health back. It's just ridiculous. So really useful to kind of obviously take that out. You'll sacrifices Goku to stop the Rising Rush. That's okay. Just using it to basically clear out a character and let us reset with the 2v2. Vegeta still got both Vegeta and Goku still have their restore from 0, and yeah, I mean we're looking okay. Vegito's tankiness really helps us out a lot because we can soak up so much damage with Vegito that it really helps out like a lot. Whereas like I think yeah, just his general tankiness is really good, honestly. Nullified Goku's restore from 0 ability with our Goku, obviously. And yeah, just gonna finish off his Vegeta here, which is pretty obviously really good. So this is where we use the counter, by the way. Bam. Very easy. Evade his ability and then done. So that's a good use of the counter, as you can see there. Just to obviously break up his blast attack, which obviously would have hit us instead of using our Vanishing Gauge. And then he tries to Rising Rush. We still have our Vanishing Gauge, and so we managed to wrap up the win. So very solid from there. And 2 wins out of 3, I'll take it. Obviously the second match got dumpstered a bit, but I think in the third game we reined it back, and it was a pretty solid performance, barring my sacrifice of Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. But hey. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts on Super Vegito, or if you have him, or if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and bye.